Have you ever wanted to make bruschetta, but you weren't sure how, or you know how, but you want to kick it up a notch with some amazing flavor? Well, today on Sonya's Sweet and Spicy Kitchen, I'm going to show you how you can make an amazing bruschetta with some simple ingredients, including Sonya's Sweet and Spicy. So, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sonya's Sweet and Spicy Kitchen. I am Sonya Paz, your spice master here today, and I'm going to show you a recipe that is near and dear to my heart, amazingly easy, and super flavorful. Bruschetta. Now, for those of you who know the traditional bruschetta, you know that it includes Roma tomatoes, you've got some onion, garlic, and balsamic vinegars and olive oil. Well, we're going to replace that balsamic vinegar with some Sonya's Sweet and Spicy. And this is going to be so easy, you're going to wonder why you haven't tried it before. This is a fun and flavorful recipe that is going to make you the hit at the next time you have to bring a dish to share. You have friends and family over and you can serve this. It's super easy. You can make it ahead of time. And of course, just serve it up right as your guests arrive. So what I'm going to show you right now, first of all, is our ingredients. Now, as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've already prepared my ingredients and chopped everything up ahead of time. We're gonna get our base for our bread, which is olive oil and the juice of Sonya's Sweet and Spicy. I've got some crushed minced garlic. I have cilantro. I have Roma tomatoes, and I'm gonna put all of these ingredients right down here in the description, so make sure that you check that out. I've got some beautiful cilantro here to top this off after we're done. I have finely chopped red onion, and I use red because it is sweeter. It's going to help balance out some of the flavors in the sweet and spicy. And of course, sweet and spicy, which is Sonya's Sweet and Spicy. Now, the bread. You can use sourdough baguette. You can use any kind of French roll. I like to use baguettes because I'm able to slice these at an angle, and you get a really nice, beautiful slice that's pretty, it's beveled per se. It's a nice slice. And that way you can manage sort of the crunch on the edges, and it just gives it more interest and a lot more serving area if you cut it on an angle. If you were to cut it straight down, it just looks boring. So I always like to have everything just really sliced up nicely. Now, when it comes to slicing, I like to make sure I use my Roma tomatoes. I like Roma tomatoes because they're heartier. Whatever tomato you use is great. I try to stay away from the average salad tomatoes. I'm not sure what brand those are, what the names are, but those tend to have a lot more of a juicier center, which are great for salads and things. But for this, we want the meat of that tomato to become the real core of how this is going to end up when you take a bite. And I do like to use larger chunks. Something that is palatable, nothing too small, because as you're mixing this up and it's going to start absorbing the flavors, you don't want it to get mushy. So there you got it. We've got olive oil, Sonya's Sweet and Spicy. We've got our cilantro, garlic, don't need a lot of garlic. Our tomatoes, finely chopped onions, Sonya's Sweet and Spicy, finely chopped as well, and some cilantro. Now to get started, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pan. I know you can use any kind of pan. I have this old ceramic pan that I use for everything. I use it for making cookies. I like the way that it evens out the heat from the ceramic, so that's my thing. I went ahead and preheated my oven to 375 degrees. And what we're going to do is just start laying out the bread and adding the olive oil and the Sonya's Sweet and Spicy juice to the recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and add Sonya's Sweet and Spicy juice. I'm going to go ahead and add my olive oil because that's going to help brown. I'm really not going to add any additional salt or pepper because you're going to have a lot of flavors, and a lot of the flavors are going to come from your produce as well as the sweet and spicy. So with my, I have a little basting brush here. I'm going to mix that up, and you don't need a lot. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just start coating these up, and I'm just going to lay them out. Now, if you get to the edge, that's what's going to be great, is because when you have this on the edge of your bread, that's what's going to give it that really yummy crunch that everyone likes. I'm not saturating these because I want them to be brown. I don't want these to get too soggy or too wet. So I'm going to do just a few of these just to appease the crowd here. And I'm going to do some bigger pieces. And as you can see, I get right to the edge of the bread. The one thing I want to mention about doing this little prep is that you're going to want to put it right into the oven. Don't let this set because it's going to absorb into the bread and it could make it soggy. So I'm going to just go ahead and put this right on into the oven, and we're going to just toast it so it gets toasted just crunchy enough on the top, and so that when you do put your finished ingredients on here after we mix it up, then you're going to have a nice bite to it. You're going to have the crunch, you're going to have the seasoned bread, and all the other flavors. So let's get this in the oven. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get this all mixed together while my bread is toasting in the oven. And like I mentioned, this is something that you can create or start mixing together about an hour or two ahead of time. I wouldn't do it overnight because by the next day your tomatoes are going to be pretty mushy, and you want to have that beautiful consistency of your tomatoes and the other produce and the sweet and spicy and everything to be nice and firm when you do place it on your bread. So I'm going to go ahead and just start adding all of the tomatoes first. Now, I love Roma tomatoes. I think that any tomato that's super firm, it's just really, really great. It's gonna, and for this recipe, it's really gonna enhance. I'm gonna throw some cilantro in there. I'm gonna add the cilantro at the end, but oh well, I got some in there. Not a big deal. Gonna go ahead and add my garlic, throw that in there, and then I'm gonna just add in, and I'm doing this kind of just throwing this in there. And this is how I would do it anyway if I wasn't on video, is just to start adding all of these ingredients and just toss it in there. I like the cilantro. You don't have to add cilantro. A lot of people don't care for cilantro. That's why I like to add it on top. So if somebody doesn't fancy cilantro, they can just pick it off. But I mean, everyone loves to have Sonya sweet and spicy and all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up. If you can see, this is beautiful. It doesn't take a lot. And like I said, I mean, you can cut and prepare most of this, you know, a good hour or two ahead of time. And I would normally just throw this in the refrigerator and let it chill. So there's beautiful color here, a lot of things happening. Oh, and it smells so good. You don't even need any balsamic vinegar, because what I'm going to do is I had some of the mix that I made, the olive oil and the Sonya sweet and spicy. I'm going to add a little bit to that right to the mix, because the juice from adding the Sonya sweet and spicy to the olive oil is really going to help add some flavors into this. So I usually don't add any balsamic, but let's see. Now, I've got my bread. I'm going to grab that. We're going to try this out and see how it turns out. As you can see, I have my toasted baguette, which is beautifully toasted right along the edges. It's got a nice little glisten from putting on the olive oil and Sonya sweet and spicy mix. So I'm going to go ahead and just start laying out my bruschetta, and I'm going to put that right on there. I'm going to just fill this plate up and get these amazing little appetizers ready to go. Put that right on top. You've got some small ones, you've got some large ones, and you know, like I had mentioned, I accidentally put in some of the cilantro on a couple of those, but that's okay. Most people in our family like cilantro. So this is the perfect appetizer, something that is super easy, doesn't take a lot of prep. You can add some additional spices in there, some ground pepper. I didn't add that on this because I think that the flavors on here pretty much just do well with what we've got happening. So this is it. Now, the description I'm going to put down below is going to be for probably about double this amount. As you see, we have lots left over. So you can go ahead and make this. It will probably serve about 6 to 8 people, depending on how big or how, you know, generous you want to be with the recipe. You can double it, you can add more of the jalapenos. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of cilantro to each of the tops of these just for that extra beautiful color. Normally, if this was a true Italian bruschetta, you're going to be putting basil in there. So in this case, we're using cilantro because we are mixing it up, because the rule is there is no rule. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try one here myself, load this up and see how this batch turned out, and let's see what happens. To die for. To die for. You have all these flavors. There's not so much of the jalapeno that it's overbearing, because you are getting the flavors from the olive oil and the Sonya sweet and spicy, but the tomatoes and the garlic and the onion, it's the perfect balance. And of course, I love my bread toasty. In fact, if I was making this for myself, I would make this a lot more. I would have darker edges on here because I love more of a crunchy crunch. But this has turned out really great. And this is something that you can make not only in the winter time, but in the summer, whenever tomato season is flourishing with abundance in produce and all that good stuff. So this is definitely something that you can create and make ahead of time. Serve it to your friends. Have this before you have pasta night at your house. Doesn't matter. You don't even have to have anything Italian with this. This can be a standalone appetizer with friends, with just some beers, some IPAs, or a glass of wine. It is the perfect meld of sweet and spice. Now, of course, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe, as I would love to hear your comments. I always respond to comments. And I would love for you to check out not only our YouTube page here and subscribe, but check out our Sonya Sweet and Spicy on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Sonya Sweet Spicy, and on Instagram.com, which is Sonya Sweet Spicy. And I'll put the links right down below. So that is pretty much it. I've got the family ready to devour this beautiful plate of bruschetta. And of course, we're gonna have some pasta night tonight. So it's gonna be a win-win for me. And I hope someone's gonna be making dessert, because I'm done here this evening. So anyway, Sonya Paz with Sonya Sweet and Spicy Kitchen. I am so glad that you tuned in today. Do this recipe. Let me know what you think. Would love to hear. It is the perfect blend of sweet and spice. And as you know, we are chopping and slicing, dicing and cooking, roasting and toasting. And that is proven right here with my friend Fred. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. You all have a great rest of the week, and we will see you soon. Take care. Bye. Happy food dance. Happy food dance. So good. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna put more of this on here. Bye, everyone.